After one of the worst wars known to mankind, the world was still trying to pick up the pieces, but to nearly no avail. As the world progressed from World War I to World War II, a series of crises and conflicts occurred, both internal and external, most notably starting from the Treaty of Versailles and leading to the very start of
World War II.
We will be covering those events with details and descriptions of what happened and the aftermath it left behind. Treaty of Versailles, we have to go back to the United States in 1918. The United States came up with the 14 points. These points cover many things, but mainly relate to the concepts of lasting peace, trade equality, ending secret treaties, freedom of the seas, and the establishment of the League of Nations. Years later, a treaty was signed called the Treaty of Versailles in June of 1919. The treaty was signed in the Hall of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles. The treaty consisted of full blame of Germany for World War I, the setup of the League of Nations, and forcing Germany into billions of dollars of debt with the war guilt clause. And let's just say Germany wasn't happy. The Germans, rightfully so, were very angry, and that would lead to dire consequences later.
Hi. Treaty. Nein. Die Speisekarte, die reicht noch. Nein. Nein!
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 The Great Depression. The Great Depression started in 1929 due to the failure and collapse of the US stock market. Millions of Americans lost their jobs and homes in a matter of months. The unemployment rate shot up to upwards of 25% by 1929. In most major cities, settlements called Hoovervilles existed. Groups of poorly built shacks built up in random places inside the cities that were affected by the Depression. Some countries felt the effects of the Depression and the Treaty of Versailles, like Germany instance, which had desperation and resentment of those who supported radical political movements. Now, while the Western world was being hit with the Great Depression, the Eastern world was also in shambles. Japan, for instance, needed more resources due to its small size and seclusion from the mainland. Oil was a major resource that they just did not have access to, which compete with surrounding countries and expand. Because of this ambition, without orders from Hirohito, Japanese soldiers captured and took over Manchuria, a piece of land from China. By 1937, Japan and China were engaged in a full-on war, known as the Second Sino-Japanese War, which resulted in the death of 20 million, most of which were Chinese civilians. And Japan's desire to grow wasn't just limited to wanting to expand into China. They were also spreading north into Russia and southwest into other regions. Japan wasn't alone in its ambition for growth, as other countries were affected too. Italy wished to be given more land from the treaty, and Germany shrunk, being turned into part of Poland, Belgium, Denmark, and Lithuania. After the war, Austria-Hungary dissolved, leaving behind Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and expanding Romania. Yugoslavia's creation built tension as it was made up of multiple different countries, such as Montenegro, Serbia, and Bosnia, because it was forcing these separate nations to become one. As expected, there was a lot of infighting throughout the country. The Ottoman Empire turned into Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and Jordan. Russia had revolts in 1917, effectively overthrowing their government and putting the leader of the revolts, Vladimir Lenin, into power. While in power, Lenin created the USSR, or the Soviet Union. This worked as a much larger country in which they were all united under their leader Lenin. In 1924, Lenin died of what was officially called an incurable disease in the blood vessel. After his death, a man named Joseph Stalin traveled across the USSR delivering lectures of Lenin's philosophy and built himself up to be his successor. Soon, Stalin became the new leader. Stalin's form of governing consisted of totalitarian control and ordered his NKVD, his secret police, to kill or put enemies of the state into gulags. The gulags were prison camps in which people were forced to do grueling work in less than ideal conditions, and they claimed many lives. Stalin liked to pose his rule as communism, however, this wasn't entirely accurate. True communism, as Karl Marx defined it, would refer to a classless society where everybody is in an equal position. However, Stalin was a dictator, which already contradicts it. But more than that, Stalinism had an elite class called the nomenklatura, which was people that Stalin appointed to power. Stalin also dreamed of making the USSR a huge industrial power, so he implemented a series of 5-year plans. These plans boosted heavy industries, however, at the cost of forcing labor upon the working class. Stalin also abused propaganda to make himself look better and created a quasi-religious adoration. Anybody who opened their eyes and realized the cruelty of Stalin's actions were killed along with their families. Because of this, many other countries disliked Russia. Nazism was created in Germany in 1933, and it lasted till 1945. Hitler, an Austrian-born German nationalist, he fought in the First World War as a private. Later, after World War I, Hitler joined a nationalist group. Hitler was known for his belief that all of Germany's problems happened because of the Treaty of Versailles. In 1923, he attempted a coup that landed him in jail. While there, he wrote the infamous book, Mein Kampf. Because of the sheer popularity of his book, and many other circumstances, he was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Hitler originally desired to help unemployment by creating projects and rearmament programs. These projects first started to boost the economy. It was later used to funnel the military in the Holocaust. Once there, he manipulated the government, believing in the supreme race, the Aryans. This started ideas of racial purity, believing that Jews, disabled people, gays, or other sexually deviant people are completely inferior to them. This led to a lot of persecution and the evident and unfortunate Holocaust. The Holocaust was one of Hitler's key plans. At first, Hitler would put his political opponents in these prison camps, but later he slowly started to target gay people, Jehovah's Witnesses, Romani people, disabled people, and many other ethnic groups, but finally, the Jewish. Overall, 11 million people were killed in the Holocaust, about 6 million people Jews, and 5 million non-Jewish people. Hitler and the Nazis began to violate many rules on the Treaty of Versailles, which caused a lot of tension to grow in Europe. The creation of Hitler's secret police was created called the SS. Germany later allied with Japan and Italy. All the way over in Italy, another fascist nation is born. Mussolini, a journalist who spread his fascist ideals, ordered a march into Rome, where he hoped to take government control from the king. In 1922, he became a prime minister. He promised unification and a strong nation, much like the long-lost Roman Empire. Mussolini quickly established a one-party state that controlled all aspects of Italian life, from politics and economy to media, education, and personal beliefs. Much like every other fascist nation, opposition to Mussolini was seen as treason and often treated with violent suppression. Italy had its own secret police called the OBRA. Mussolini believed strong military and expansion were important for a thriving nation. The rhetoric around the idea of vital space was used to justify his expansionist ambitions, which aimed to establish an Italian empire, particularly in North Africa and the Balkans. In 1935, he even invaded Ethiopia in hopes of building his new Roman Empire. This invasion exposed the League of Nations' inability to control international affairs, which destabilized Europe and weakened collective security. Corporatism was established, which meant that the state organized industry and labor into government-controlled corporations in hopes of preventing class conflict and improving efficiency. Despite the aims of this economy, It did not solve economic problems and led to corruption and inefficiency. Fascism is rooted in strong opposition to communism, socialism, and liberal democracy. These are viewed as threats to national unity and order, which led Mussolini to align with conservative elites, the military, and the Catholic Church. This anti-communist stance brought Mussolini to ally with Nazi Germany with the Pact of Steel in 1939. Because of their collective idea of expansion, Italy, Japan, and Germany formed the Axis powers and allied themselves. Because of these nations' need for power, a new arms race began in the 1930s. Many other nations were too scared to intervene until it was too late. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, marking a pivotal moment in history as Adolf Hitler sought to spread his influence and reclaim what he believed was rightfully Germany's. In the preceding month, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union had forged a pact that included a secret protocol dividing Eastern Europe into spheres of influence. According to this agreement, Germany would invade Poland from the west while the Soviet Union would occupy the east, effectively splitting the nation in two. Hitler aimed to control the Polish corridor, a narrow strip of land that separated mainland Germany from East Prussia. He demanded the annexation of Danzig, yet Poland steadfastly refused. This refusal became a convenient pretext for Hitler's invasion. As tensions escalated, Britain and France underestimated Hitler's willingness to engage in war, a miscalculation that would ultimately lead to the outbreak of World War II. In an alternate history where the Treaty of Versailles was more equitable, the aftermath of World War I reshaped Europe in profound ways. With a focus on rebuilding rather than punitive measures, Germany finds itself on a path of recovery rather than outrage and despair. This reimagined treaty lays the groundwork for a more thoughtful League of Nations, one dedicated to fostering trade agreements that effectively prevent economic downturns, coordinating policies, and ensuring financial oversight. Such measures have far-reaching impacts, stabilizing international markets and providing much-needed assistance to struggling economies. As desperation lessens, so too does the fertile ground for authoritarian leaders to rise. Without the shadow of Hitler looming over Europe, nations like Poland and Czechoslovakia remain secure, untouched by invasion, fueled by anger and expansionist desires. Instead of opting for totalitarian regimes, European countries embrace a diverse array of policies that support their working-class citizens. The strengthened League of Nations plays a crucial role in this political reformation, advocating for progressive governance across the continent. Recognizing Japan's resource needs, the League orchestrates trade routes that fulfill these demands, averting the need for military aggression. As Japan evolves into a regional trade leader, its commitment to education and modern infrastructure proliferates throughout Asia, accelerating global development. The pervasive fear of war dissipates, allowing countries to repurpose the excess armaments left from the First World War. The resources once directed toward an arms race now fuel economic and social advancements, setting the stage for a lasting peace. However, there are still many advancements made because of war which may not be invented or be invented much later. In this world, seminal texts like Mein Kampf are never penned, and movements like Nazism and neo-Nazism find no foothold. The League of Nations flourishes, driving humanity towards unity and collaboration. As fascist ideals lose their grip, countless individuals escape the discrimination that has plagued societies throughout history. This vision of a cooperative global community offers a tantalizing glimpse of what could have been, where peace reigns and the spectre of conflict is but a distant memory.
Danke. Ja, ja. Ist gut. Ist sehr gut. Ja. 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 You're good.
That was Years of Crisis, produced by
Roman Armstrong.
and Orion Musbach-Maggard.
Thank you for watching our video. I hope you found this video very informative about the years in between World War I and World War II. Mr. Larson, you need to give us an A, right? Or we're going to tell everybody about the banner. Yeah, you heard us, Quaid. Don't test us. We have the willpower, and we have the determination to do it.
Anyways, if you have any questions, be free to ask them. We'd be happy to answer.
Yes, do that.